Guys, it's Bev again. I hope you're having a great day. Okay, today I wanted to talk about metabolic rate. I've been getting a few questions on Quora about this, and I do cover it in my book. Are you fat making or calorie burning? Of course, not out until the fall of 2020. But anyway, let's talk about the two rates that people kind of get confused. And one of them is called your basal metabolic rate, and one is called your resting metabolic rate. Now, your basal metabolic rate is your basic metabolic rate. How many calories you burn for what? The calories you need to sustain your life. Right? So, you need to breathe, you need a working brain, you need to reproduce your cells, you need to digest food, you need blood circulation, you need a good working brain and heart, and all of this goes along, needs calories every day of your life, every hour, every minute of your life. So this is called your basic or your basal metabolic rate. So it's the minimum number of calories burned for the basic functions while you're at rest for 24 hours. Technically that's what it is. Okay, so to live, you need a basal metabolic rate. Now, resting metabolic rate, it's kind of confusing, right? Because this says when you're at rest for 24 hours. Well, this is the same thing, when you're at rest for 24 hours. However, there's a little bit of difference here. This is what I want to point out. So this is an energy expenditure. Some people call it the resting energy expenditure. But it's while you're at rest, how much energy do you expend or use? So it's the calories burned while your body is at rest. So you might think, well, it's kind of the same thing, right? But this is a very basic, your body has to live kind of thing. This thing, you could be walking around, you could be sitting reading a book, you could be sleeping. It takes into account your activity, and that's the difference. So your metabolic rate, if you can't change this, and I don't think you can change this by very much, right? You have to digest, well, of course, if you're starving, maybe you're not digesting as much food. But in general, you can't really change your basic metabolic rate. But you can change your resting metabolic rate. And athletes do this all the time. Okay, so what happens is your resting metabolic rate deals with, of course, your basal metabolic rate. You have to live, but also how much exercise. What do you do in the day? Is it strenuous? Do you lift weights? Do you do any aerobic exercise? So, what happens when you add exercise to the mix? Okay, well, you are going to, with weight training, for example, you're going to build muscle mass. And if you build muscle mass, you're going to increase the efficiency of your metabolism. And you're going to be able to eat more calories. Your metabolic capacity or your metabolic efficiency, because of aerobic training, for example, is going to be increased. So, in another video, I talked about this, EPOC and DOM. So, delayed onset muscle soreness, you've been lifting weights, your muscles have to be rebuilt, they have to be repaired, that takes calories. Excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. You always need oxygen to create energy. And if you're exercising, you're going to be depleting your oxygen. So when you're finished the exercise, you're going to have to come back to what we call a homeostasis or a balanced condition for your biochemical body. So all of this kind of thing is related to the exercise that you do. And so you can increase your resting metabolic rate with exercise. So, for example, me, I have increased my resting metabolic rate through exercise. So if you don't exercise, I can guarantee that I will be burning more calories while I'm sleeping than you. I will be burning more calories while I'm sitting on a couch reading a book than you. And a high-end Olympic athlete has a better resting metabolic rate than me. I mean, they're going to be burning a lot more calories every hour than I can. But, exercise and you're going to increase that RMR. So for me, for example, my basal metabolic rate is about 1200. My husband's is about 1800. I mean, you can go on, you can Google it. There are lots of equations on how to figure it out. How much you weigh, how old you are, blah, blah, how much do you exercise. So roughly mine's around 1200. My husband's is 1800. Now, does that mean I can only eat 1200 calories? No, because I have increased my resting metabolic rate. So let's say I exercise and I burn 400 calories on that gym floor or whatever I'm doing. Then that puts me up to 1600 calories, which is about what I eat. Now, if I want to lose weight, I could eat a bit less. Maybe I eat 1400, 1500 calories, but I'm using 1600. So I'll lose a bit of weight. So there are ways you can play with your calories. But if you don't exercise, you're not getting much above this, right? And that's why for a lot of people, these are the same. But for me, as a weightlifter, these are not the same. So I want you to exercise every day, or well, let's say 4 to 6 days a week, for 1 hour of strenuous exercise daily. I don't care if you're jogging, weightlifting, or if you are doing body weight exercises. I want you to challenge your muscles. And then you're going to build some mass. You're going to be able to eat more. I mean, have you ever seen those, bodybuilders and those weightlifters? They're eating all the time. Why? Because they can. So try to understand your metabolic rate. Try to do something about it. Exercise. Get yourself physically fit. So thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good evening.